गिरिवरधारी जयो गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जन ओ यमुनतीरावनचारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. We are reading from the third canto, second chapter, verse number 19. Drishta bhavatbhi nanurajasuye चैद्यस्य कृष्णं द्विषितोऽपि सिद्धिः यां योगिनः संस्पृहन्ति सम्यग् योगेन कस्तद् विरहं सहेत दृष्टा भवद्भिः ननु राजसूये चैद्यस्य कृष्णं द्विषितोऽपि सिद्धिः यां योगिनः संस्पृहन्ति सम्यक् योगेन कस्तद् विरहं सहेतः दृष्टा भवद्भिः ननु राजसूये चैद्यस्य कृष्णं द्विषितोऽपि सिद्धिः यां योगिनः संस्पृहयन्ति सम्यग् योगेन कस्तद् विरहं सहेता। Mataji's. Drishtha bhavadbhi nanurajasuye chaidasya krishnam dushitopi siddhihi yam yoginah samsprihanti samyag yoge nakastad viraham saheta. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Drishtha, it has been seen. Bhavadbihi, by your good self. Nanu, of course. Rajasuye, in the assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. Chaidyasya, of the king of Chedi, Shishupal. Krishnam, unto Krishna. Dvishataha, envying. Api, in spite of. Siddhihi, success. Yam, which. Yoginaha, the yogis. Samsprihanti, verily desire. Samyak, fully. Yogena, by performance of yoga. Kaha, who. Tat, his. Viraham, separation. Saheta, can tolerate. Translation. You have personally seen how the king of Chedi achieved success in yoga practice. Although he hated Lord Krishna, even the actual yogis aspire after such success with great interest by performance of their various practices. Who can tolerate separation from him? Purport. Lord Krishna's causeless mercy was exhibited in the great assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was merciful even to his enemy, the king of Chedi, who always tried to be an envious rival of the Lord. Because it is not possible to be a bona fide rival of the Lord, the king of Chedi was extremely malicious towards Lord Krishna. In this way, he was like many other asuras, such as Kamsa and Jarasandha. In the open assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, Shishupal insulted Lord Krishna, and he was finally killed by the Lord. But it was seen by everyone in the assembly that a light flashed out of the body of the king of Chedi and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. This means that Chedi Raj achieved the salvation of attaining oneness with the Supreme, which is a perfection most desired by the Jnanis and the Yogis, and for which they execute their different types of transcendental activities. It is a fact that persons who are trying to understand the supreme truth by their personal endeavors or mental speculation or mystic powers of yoga achieve the same goal as others who are personally killed by the Lord. Both achieve the salvation of merging in the Brahma Jyoti rays of the transcendental body of the Lord. The Lord was merciful even to his enemy, and the success of the king of Chedi was observed by everyone who was present in the assembly. Vidura was also present there, and therefore Uddhava referred the incident to his memory. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरं यत्कृपा तवहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Before beginning to speak anything on this most exalted subject matter, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees, that whatever words that come out from my mouth may be in parampara, may it be pleasing to the Supreme Lord, Shri Nitai Gaurchandra, and may it bring happiness to you. So, we're discussing a very beautiful section from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3.2.19. So, as we all know, the Srimad Bhagavatam offers very beautiful remembrances of Krishna in the form of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But before the 10th canto, we have the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which also talks about, Krishna, right? We have chapters, especially, how Krishna leaves Hastinapur, how he enters Dwarka, how Krishna's interaction with Arjuna and Draupadi. So, in the first canto also, there are many glimpses of beautiful interactions of Krishna with his devotees. Also, here in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we also see the same thing, where the context here is a conversation that is happening between Vidura and Uddhava. And there is a cascade of heartfelt memories, right? That is being outpoured by Uddhava. In this world, everybody wants to create memories, right? When we go to a beautiful place, we click photos, we click selfies, we click, we go to beautiful places just in order to create memories. Just recently, there were the people who went to Kashmir, right? We have heard about the most atrocious attack that happened on the civilians there. What was the purpose? They just went out for a holiday which turned into a nightmare, unfortunately, right? Of course, my condolences to all those people there out there. But they went out to create memories. But unfortunately, instead of good memories being created, what happened? There were ghastly memories that were created. There were such impressions that were created in their subconscious mind, which perhaps that might leave a permanent scar in their subconscious mind, right? So when we create memories, especially good memories, we want to relive those memories, right? And how do we relive those memories? By talking about it, by conversing about it, by remembering about it again and again and again, because you want to relive. Especially when you remember when the initial days when we come to Krishna conscious, or we go for our first yatra, Kartik yatra, or any pilgrimage, as a matter of fact, we want to relive. Oh, these were such wonderful days that I had with wonderful devotees. And we want to again and again and again remember. That is what Uddhava is doing. Uddhava is trying to relive those memories, of Krishna performing those pastimes, whom he has heard about. Uddhava was personally not present. with regards to witnessing those most beautiful pastimes, those most nectarian, sweet pastimes of Krishna, which he performed in the land of Vrindavan. But Uddhava, because he was in Dwarka, he heard those beautiful pastimes. And not only these pastimes are being talked about in a capsule, in short, but even along with that, the beauty of Krishna has been talked about, the qualities and the attributes of Krishna have been talked about, which Uddhava wants to remember. He wants to relive, because now Krishna has disappeared, right? The most prominent memory of Uddhava is his interactions with Supreme Lord Krishna. And he wants to remember them again and again and again. That is what. And therefore, yes, we want to create, as devotees, we want to create good memories, but our memories should be Krishna-centric memories, right? And that is what Uddhava is doing. And how do we create Krishna-centric memories, right? By having wonderful dealings and interactions, especially when we celebrate such pompous festivals in the temple, when we call, such wonderful speakers and guests. So and whatever we hear from them, they create very profound impressions, because the memories, our consciousness is shaped by the memories that we create. And therefore, when we create good memories, when we create good impressions, that becomes the basis of our next body. So therefore, we have to fill our hearts, we have to fill our minds with Krishna-centric memories. The more we do it, the more we develop an attachment towards Krishna, right? And that is what is Uddhava doing at this point of time. He's just trying to relive those beautiful memories of Krishna, right? And the specific memory that at this point of time in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the reference to this verse that he is remembering is that of how Krishna is so magnanimous, how Krishna is so merciful, how Krishna is so wonderful. There's a chapter in Krishna book, Wonderful Krishna, right? So Krishna, how he delivered Shishupal, right? In the beginning of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a question that is asked by whom? By Parishad Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. Parishad Maharaj is asking Shukdev Goswami, how is that the Lord takes the sides of the demigods? Every time we see the demigods, most of the times winning. Is it not the Lord is equal to everyone? If he's dear to everyone, then how is it that he is partial? I cannot understand this. And there, at that point of time in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, Parishad Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami is saying, oh, wait. It is not that the Lord is partial. It is just because of the influence of the modes of the material nature. We all know, there is sattva, there is rajas, there is tamas, right? At that particular point of time, if sattva is prominent, then the demigods, the brahmanas and dharma prevails. If rajas is prominent, then the demons prevail. But we see the nature of sattva is, it is steady. It is steady. And it is for a very prolonged period of time, we see it remains. So therefore, the demigods, because the nature of sattva, it is steady, therefore the demigods win and they rule over for a very long period of time. But the nature of rajas, which degrades to tamas very quickly, is like a sinusoidal wave. It comes, it goes. So therefore, the demons, even though they win, but it is not for a very long time. It's for a short time, and once again, the victory of the demigods prevail. So like this kind of explanation, Shukdev Goswami concludes that actually the Lord is impartial. It is all because of the time wheel, it is all because of the influence of the modes that these situations happen. But the Lord himself is impartial. And in order to illustrate the example of how the Lord is impartial, Shukdev Goswami gives the example of Shishupal. Right? So he gives the example of Shishupal. So we will just quickly, because Shishupal is being discussed here, we will just quickly go into the story of Shishupal. wherein we will see how he was delivered by the Supreme Lord. So, very beautiful story comes where actually Shishupal, when he was born, it is said that he was braying like a donkey. He was braying like a donkey, shouting out, yelling out insults, towards the Supreme Lord. And he was born with, how many hands? He was born with 4 hands and 3 eyes. That was the birth of Shishupal. And as soon as he took birth, so Krishna and Shishupal are cousins. Shishupal's mother is a sister of Mother Devaki. So as soon as Shishupal was born, there was an aerial voice which proclaimed that these 4 hands of Shishupal, out of that, 2 will disappear as soon as he confronts his killer. Many people came to visit Shishupal. Shishupal remained Chaturbhuj. But as soon as he confronted Krishna, immediately those 2 hands melted away. And there the mother understood that this Krishna is going to be the killer of my son, Shishupal. And therefore Shishupal's mother begged Krishna, Krishna, please don't kill my son. Please, I will ensure such first-class upbringing that he will not criticize anyone. I will ensure that from my side. And Krishna said, okay, you do whatever you can, but if he crosses his limits of more than 100, and actually we know the story of the 100 offenses, but actually when in this story, when Shukdev Goswami is taking Parikshit Maharaj to the scene of the Rajasuya Yagya, where everyone is proclaiming, where now Yudhishthira Maharaj has to make a decision that who is going to be the Agra Purush, who is going to be the Agra means the topmost, the Sarva Shresht, who is going to be that personality to whom the worship is going to be offered. So after the Yagya happens, the Agra Purush has to be selected. And at that point of time, Sahadev gets up and proclaims that Krishna is the one who is fit for this worship. No one else in this assembly is. Now in that entire assembly, there was Lord Shiva, there was Lord Brahma, there was the eldest of the Kuru, that was Bhishma. Most worshipable, great personalities were present. But Sahadev said, Krishna is worthy of that worship. And at that point of time also Shishupal did not get up to reject or to counter-attack. No, he did not do at that point of time. Because at that point of time when Sahadev said that, he allowed the Agra Puja to happen actually. Because Shishupal at that point of time was thinking, oh, Krishna is just an ordinary person. And I'm sure 100% that this yagya will be fruitless. He was so confident. But when the yagya was successful, that was the time when he got up from his seat and he said that this Sahadev, what does he think of self? He is just a kid. And that is the point of time when, without referring to any notes, like the way I am doing, he started shouting blasphemy. 1, 2, 3, 90, 91, 92, 98, 99, 100. 100 offenses towards the Supreme Lord without any reference. That envious he was. But the 101st offense was not towards Krishna actually. The 101st offense was to Sahadev. Blaspheming him. How ridiculous is Sahadev for choosing Krishna as the Agra Purush. And that was the time when Krishna revealed his Sudarshan Chakra and performed the first bloodless surgery. Right? That is the beauty of Krishna. Why is Uddhava glorifying Krishna at this point of time in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Because even though Shishupal exhibited such kind of envy towards Krishna, Krishna was so impartial. He was so merciful that he even delivered an envious fool like Shishupal. Right? And so we understand how Krishna is so great. He can only see good. Krishna cannot see bad at all, right? And we have so many instances after this particular verse. Uddhava is recollecting those memories of how Krishna can see only good. And later on we see the example of Putana, in like very beautifully Sushil Garampur also yesterday described that how Putana came with the intention of wanting to kill Krishna. But Krishna did not see the inner intention. Krishna saw just the externals of how she has come to feed me milk. Therefore, so great is Krishna, how Krishna can see only good that he gave the position of a nurse in the spiritual world, right? Even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna can see only good. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhur eva samantavya. If a person who even is indulging into abominable actions, I consider him to be a sadhu. So Krishna is such a person, the nature of Krishna, if you want to know the Lord whom we are worshipping, he can see only good. That's it. He cannot see bad in anything. Even when the episode of Jarasan comes, 27 times? No, 17 times. Okay, why did I say 27? Yeah, 27 times was the, 27 days had undergone with regards to the fight that went between Bhima and Jarasan. When Krishna showed this trick to Bhima of taking a leaf and tearing it into two parts, Jarasan understood and called out two words. Krishna, Prabhupada writes that in Krishna book. He calls him, O Purush Adhama. You are the lowest of all men. Now, it's not that Krishna does not understand Sanskrit, right? Krishna knows everything. But how does Krishna interpret it as? The Acharya is right. That Supreme Purush in front of whom everyone is Adhama. In front of everyone who is the lowest of all. Therefore, he is Purush Adhama. And Krishna saw that he is calling Purush, he is calling me Purush. Oh, very nice. Anta kalecha maam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. At the end of his life, he is remembering me. So he will attain Mad Bhavam, right? So, and then the second word that he uses is Bandhuhan. Bandhuhan means the killer of his relative, his closest relative. The one who is very close to him, Krishna killed him. Now, all of us know that how Maya is also very dear to us, right? We love Maya so much, right? She influences us so easily. But how does Krishna interpret the word Bandhuhan? That Krishna who destroys our eternal relationship with Maya. That how Krishna is referred to as Bandhuhan, right? So Krishna saw that good in Jarasan and gave him also liberation. That is what the Acharya is right. How amazing Krishna is. Krishna is all wonderful. So, understanding how Krishna is so wonderful, Uddhava is telling in this verse, from such an amazing Lord, how can I tolerate separation from him? How can we tolerate separation from him? And we also see in the Srimad Bhagavatam that comes in the first canto of how when Krishna is leaving Hastinapur to go towards Dwarka, there are so many eminent personalities whose names have been mentioned who actually are near to faint. Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, even the names of Dhritarashtra is mentioned. Dhritarashtra also nearly faints when he is about to see Krishna about to depart. Now one may question, how is Dhritarashtra, who was always throughout his life so inimical towards the Pandavas, faint? Because Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, because Krishna is so attractive to all living entities. He is so supremely attractive that, that even a person like Dhritarashtra, of course he was not envious or inimical to the extent Shishupal, Kamsa and Jarasandh was. Dhritarashtra was known as a person who was very weak-hearted. But he also, was inimical to its pure devotees. But that Dhritarashtra also nearly fainted on seeing Krishna. And in that purport, Prabhupada writes something very beautiful. He says that actually, for such feelings of separation to come in our heart, we should be submissively hearing from pure devotees. Because when we hear submissively from pure devotees, there are two things that happens. Our enjoyment from material association slackens, and our attraction towards, or our ruchi towards Krishna Katha increases when we hear submissively towards pure devotees. And there Prabhupada gives a very beautiful analogy. That attraction he compares it to like fire that comes in touch with gunpowder. I was just analyzing this analogy. Very interesting analogy. Prabhupada says fire that comes in touch with gunpowder. So if you know, as soon as fire comes in touch with gunpowder, the reaction that ensues between them is unstoppable. It's immediate. So in a very similar manner, as one develops genuine taste in hearing Krishna Katha, then it does not stop. It just progressively goes on without stoppage. And one feels, I want more. Dil mange more. I wanted more. Right? And therefore, that is the first point. And another thought, why Krishna Prabhupada probably would have used that analogy, just like gunpowder. Gunpowder has the capacity of latent heat. It is passive in nature. In a very similar manner, the living entity, the soul, has the capacity to love and serve Krishna. But only when it comes in contact with sadhus, when it comes in contact with the fire in form of Shravanam and Kirtanam and Sadhusang, in Sadhusang, then that fire lightens up, right? So there, a very, very, such an apt analogy that has been used, in this regard, right? And therefore, now one may say, okay, so of course there are many instances in the Srimad Bhagavatam where, devotees feel genuine separation, from Krishna. Even in Chaitanya Leela, I was recently hearing, a very beautiful class by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. He talks about how when Rupa Goswami had found the deities of Radha Govind, he had sent, one messenger to convey it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was in Gambhira at that point of time. And then Mahaprabhu comes to know about it. He was excited. He was so happy. And he sent whom? He sent Kashishwar Pandit to go to Vrindavan and assist Rupa Goswami in his care for the deities of Radha Govind, of Govindji, right? And at that point of time, Kashishwar Pandit tells Mahaprabhu that I cannot live without you. I cannot even bear a moment separation from you. How is that possible? And just to pacify the fire, the pangs of separation from the Lord had gifted a deity of Gaur Govind, the deity of Gaur Govind, just to pacify the burning heart of Kashishwar Pandit. So like this we can see, separation from the Lord, so many examples can be given. But now let us try to bring it to a practical level, at the level of sadhakas. At our level, for us, separation from Krishna is often very conceptual. We cannot perceive the way very advanced sadhakas or very, the pure exalted devotees like Srila Prabhupada, can perceive, right? But there's one more thought that came to my mind. Okay, I will. Should I say it? Okay, anyways. So, where was I? So for us it is very conceptual. So, but we should understand, before we feel separation from Krishna, it is important that we feel separation from devotees first, right? It is very important. And that is why in the conversation between Ramanand Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks Ramanand Rai, can you tell me what is the most painful thing in this entire material existence? And what does Ramanand Rai reply? the separation from devotees is the most painful thing in this entire material existence, right? So I just thought about, few points why, devotees are so important in our life. Uddhava is feeling separation from Krishna, but at our level, we should feel separation from devotees, right? So I just took out 3 points, which I thought we'll discuss. So why should we feel separation from devotees? Because Krishna reveals himself through devotees only, right? Krishna reveals himself through devotees. Once one devotee asked Prabhupada, what if suppose at the time of death, I am not able to remember you, I am not able to remember Krishna, but I remember you, Srila Prabhupada. What will happen? Prabhupada said that is absolutely perfect. It is no problem, So there we can see it is through the medium of the spiritual master, it is the medium of his representative, the fellow devotees, through whom we constantly get reminded of, Krishna. Because the devotees are whom, where Krishna resides in the heart very prominently. And that is why Yudhishthira Maharaj, in glorification of Vidurji, says, Bhavat Vidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibhu Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swanthastena Gataprita. Oh Vidhura, you are like a holy place. Krishna resides in your heart. You are a holy place of pilgrimage. Therefore, wherever you go, that is a tirtha, right? That is a tirtha. So we can see, actually even the Leelamrit also, there comes a very beautiful episode where Satsuradas Maharaj, he reveals the innermost feelings of Srila Prabhupada when he is hearing from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That famous incident where devotees were given a choice. Either you can continue hearing, or either you can go and take the darshan of Sheshashai Vishnu. There's Satsuradas Maharaj, revealing the inner feelings of Prabhupada, says actually, Prabhupada actually when he was hearing Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he felt actually the spiritual world was being revealed to him. Satsuradas Maharaj writes that, statement in the Leelamrit, that how the spiritual world was being revealed to Srila Prabhupada. So we can see how we understand it is through hearing from the pure devotees, from his representatives who represent, from his representatives who purely represent the parampara. They are the ones who reveal Krishna. So therefore, separation from devotees is very much essential at our level. So that is the first point. Second point, we need to understand, devotee association is our lifeline. Devotee association is our lifeline. How? Because there is this very famous verse, Lord Kapila says, Mother Devoti, Satam Prasangat, Mama Virya Samvido, Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Katha, Tajjoshanada Shupavarga Vartamani, Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramashyati. What do you do? Satam Prasangam, when Lord Kapila is saying Mother Devahuti, when in association of devotees, what do you do? Mama Virya Samvido. When you hear the beautiful pastimes of the Supreme Lord, what happens and how? Rit Karna Rasayana Katha. With attentive ears, with attention. Then what happens? Shraddha Ratir Bhakti. Then we climb up onto the stages of Prema Bhakti ultimately. Anukramishati, progressively. And therefore we understand how devotee association, if you want to progress in bhakti, it is only through the medium of devotees. And therefore it is so important. As practicing devotees, our inspiration to get up early for morning program comes from devotees only. At least in my case, right? I'm talking about. That's why, in Radha Damodar Vilas, when Vishnujan Maharaj, he would wake up the devotees in the bus party. I remember Balbam reading. He would say, Hari Bol Prabhu, get up, let us shine for Srila Prabhupada. What an amazing way of waking up the devotees, right? Let us shine for Srila Prabhupada. Our inspiration, our motivation to chant sincerely comes from devotees. I have memories. Talking about, we started with memories. When we would go to Chowpatty, those early days, 2010, 11, all devotees. Friday would end, college would end, and we would pack our bags to go to Chowpatty, because those days, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj would give classes both on Saturdays as well as Sundays. It was like a feast for us, and there we would, sit, we would sit, not in the innermost circle, but at least in the secondary or tertiary circle around Maharaj. And though I had those most profound memories where we would see, Maharaj chanting so nicely. Those memories of Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj chanting, had such profound impressions. And I would always, sometimes, in my own japa, try to imitate. We imitate our superheroes. So we have superheroes, spiritual superheroes. How Maharaj would imitate. He would sit he would sit there at that corner, his eyes and consciousness fixed on Srila Prabhupada, and he would be so loudly and distinctly chanting the holy name. You could see his mouth moving, and I would aspire, when can I would do that chanting? Physically, it's easy to physically imitate. Physical imitation can be done, but you cannot imitate his bhava. That is for sure, right? But those profound memories, so that inspiration to chant sincerely, that inspiration to, the strength to resist Maya, the inspiration to come together to serve Krishna comes in association of devotees. So therefore, separation from devotees is very much essential, right? And that is the second point. Third point is, we experience devotional emotions also with the help of devotees, right? In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, we talk about the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. But what is the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, right? If you see, the generic definition is, spontaneous love for Krishna by seeing and hearing the attachment that great souls have for Krishna, right? So therefore, once again, who are involved? It is devotees, who are, involved in this entire thing. What to talk about us feeling separation? Even Krishna feels separation from his devotees. I remember we recently went on a Dwarka Yatra, voice Yatra we went, and we had entered the Dwarkadish temple. And at that point of time, Bhoga was being offered to the Lord. And there in the entire mandapa, Radhe Radhe was being chanted. And there were loud chants of Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. And I was wondering, am I in Vrindavan or am I in Dwarka? And because it is so unusual in a place where Dwarkadish is worshipped, where the prominent deity is Rukmini Dwarka, I was wondering that should they not be chanting Jai Dwarkadish? Or should they? I guess devotees understood who stay with me what do I mean. But yeah, should they not be chanting Jai Rukmini Dwarkadish? Should they not be chanting Jai Dwarkadish? But at that point of time, all along the way, I was just reflecting on this. And then at that point of time, a thought came. The thought that came into my mind, I was just thinking, where else in Bhagavatam, Krishna is feeling separation from devotees? And in Sanatan Goswami's pages of Brihad Bhagavatamrit, Sanatan Goswami transports us to Nava Vrindavan Leela, where there Krishna is where? Not in Vrindavan. He is in Dwarka. And he is experiencing, Vishwakarma had formed something what is called as the Nava Vrindavan, where in the dioramas of Mother Yashoda, Srimati Radharani, all the Gopa friends of Krishna were there. And there, when Krishna is transported to Nava Vrindavan Leela, and there when Krishna gets up, he goes to Mother Yashoda, lies on her lap and trying to experience Vatsalya. And there everyone who is present at that point of time looking at this is Satyabhama, is Rukmini, and all the other queens of Krishna. And they are wondering how much Krishna is feeling separation from Vrindavan while being in Dwarka. Not even that, because while even Krishna would be lying, along with the queens on the bedstead, he would be constantly chanting, constantly remembering, Hey Maya, Hey Nanda Baba, Hey Radhe, constantly, chanting their names. So even Krishna, and I was, thinking, when the devotees there are chanting Radhe Radhe, they are actually making Krishna remember Vrindavan. And how Krishna must be so pleased with them. With the devotees who are chanting Radhe Radhe in Vrindavan. Because Krishna is feeling so much separation from them. Right? So therefore, Krishna feels so much separation. Just like, Srimati Radharani needed so much of, needed intense support in Kurukshetra. Krishna needed solace in Dwarka. Right? So therefore, even Krishna feels separation. Right? And so, therefore, it is important we should feel separation from devotees, and most importantly, to be able to feel separation from devotees, alongside we should feel separation from our sadhana. We should feel separation. Oh, today I could not chant my rounds attentively. It should not just be another day of inattentive rounds gone by. Finished. I'm done with my chanting today. Right? We should feel like, and like in Chaitanya Charitamrita also this beautiful example comes where, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Haridas Thakur, so how are you doing, sir? The Prabhupada in one lecture he says, so how are you doing, sir? Haridas Thakur says, oh Mahaprabhu, I could not finish my rounds today. I could not finish my commitment of chanting 3 lakh rounds. Mahaprabhu says, it's okay, no problem. You are not feeling well. Right? We also see the similar mood when Kadamba Kanan Maharaj, at the very fag end of his life, Jayadit Maharaj narrates this particular story as how when Kadam Kanan Maharaj was facing so much of pain that it was taking hours and hours to chant his 16 rounds, Jayadit Maharaj said, it's not required now. No problem. Don't worry. You have done sufficiently. And Kadam Karan Maharaj at that point of time tells that, oh Maharaj, please don't do this to me. Don't give me this painful instruction of telling me to reduce my rounds. I cannot do this. Just see how much separation. This is the perfection in sadhana. That I cannot, now one may say, I'm not well, I'm sick, I'm on the deathbed, anytime I might leave my body, but still, such a devotee, I have given my vow at the time of initiation, I've given my commitment, therefore I will chant my 16 rounds. Good, attentive 16 rounds, right? So therefore, it is so important, that we feel, separation from our, sadhana, right? And therefore, we should feel, one more point I wanted to discuss. Okay. So I was just recently reading a very wonderful article that, His Grace Hari Bhakti Prabhu wrote, that how, with regards to, chanting, how we should go from, spaced out chanting to tuned in chanting, right? You can read that article, very nice chanting, very nice article. So there, he shares how it is important when we, in order to feel separation from our japa, that we have not chanted good attentive rounds, there we should first disconnect ourselves from our devices, from our mobile phones, from the constant distraction that we face in the environment. We should disconnect, we should unplug ourselves, right? First we should disconnect. Second, we should connect. We should connect with the holy name. And then when we connect, we should absorb in the holy name. And to that, a very beautiful story, in that article it was quoted by, Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, where he quotes a story of Akbar, where he says, Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, he says, once Akbar was actually in the mosque, and he had taken up the Quran to read, but his mind was distracted. It was very restless. And in the courtyard outside the mosque, there was a woman who was frantically going up and down, as if searching for something so desperately. And in her mindlessness, she enters the mosque and she kind of hits Akbar and the Quran that he was reading topples from his hand. And Akbar at that point of time gets very angry and pronounces the death sentence, calls his guard and tells, take her and kill her. And the lady at that point of time tells Akbar, okay, before I'm hanged, I would just like to express something. Can I ask you something? What were you doing? So Akbar said, I was reading the Quran, but I don't think so. Why? Because if you were reading the Quran, the reason that I was here frantically searching, so desperate, I had heard that my lost love had come to the city here, and I was desperately searching for him. But you, by the reading of your Quran, you should have been absorbed in your reading of the greatest lover, that is Allah. If that absorption you could not acquire while reading of your Quran and you were getting distracted by me going up and down, then my question to you is, were you actually reading the Quran? Right? So this story actually Sachinanda Maharaj quotes saying that this should be our level of absorption. If we cannot reach up to those levels of absorption, we should at least aspire, pray for the level of absorption in our chanting, and not let just another day of fruitless chanting, another day of spaced out chanting go by, and try to tune in, right? So I'll conclude here. I will just summarize quickly what we discussed. So today we discussed about how Uddhava is trying to relive those memories of Krishna performing such beautiful pastimes, and therefore it is important for us in our lives also to create memories with devotees, through beautiful dealings, through wonderful interactions, through wonderful yatras, because those impressions that we form as a part of our bhakti practice becomes the basis of our body, right? And there, actually, I just forgot, Prabhupada gives with regards to this a very beautiful example, right? He gives an example of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. He says, a caterpillar, because of his constant meditation upon the butterfly in fear, in that very lifetime, he acquires the beautiful body of a butterfly, right? In a very similar manner, if we meditate on Krishna through the sadhana practices that have been given to us by Srila Prabhupada, then because of our constant meditation through those forms of practice, then we will also attain a body similar to that of the body that Krishna has. And we know the body that Krishna has is Satchidananda. That is what is his constitutional body. Therefore, we will also attain our Swarupa of being Sat Chid Ananda, right? So like this, when we meditate like this on Krishna's supreme pastimes, then we will also attain that that most supreme destination. So we talked about creating memories, and then the memory that Uddhava is talking about at this point of time is that of how Krishna is so merciful, and that even an envious, wretched fool like Shishupal, he gave him deliverance. And to such a beautiful, good Lord, how can one bear separation? Right? It even comes with regards to the Pandavas. How they could not, those Pandavas who dined with the Lord, who slept with the Lord, who talked with the Lord day in and day out, how could they bear separation? So we talked about bearing separation from Lord, but at our level, we should understand, we should first bear separation from devotees. And then bear separation from our sadhana. Our good quality chanting, our reading of Prabhupada books. In that way, we can form good, profound memories in our hearts and attain the ultimate destination of life. That is Krishna Prem. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.